Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Going down. Where my girls at?
Where my girls at? Where my girls at on this Friday? Happy Friday, everybody. You are listening to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 910 a.m. the Superstation, WFDF, which is the oldest urban talk radio station right here in Detroit, but it can be heard all over the world. And I am Crisette Ellis from the D, your host for today. Monday through Friday, you get a chance to hang out with us from 6 to 7 p.m. You guys are the best of the best. Y'all listening on the radio, on 910 a.m. Superstation app, and you're watching and commenting on either the Force of Friendship or the 910 a.m. Facebook pages. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us grow our following and our tribe. And don't forget to follow us on social media. And of course, share. And did I say share? We want to welcome all of our new listeners and followers to We Got Issues, where we are committed to sharing lessons, light, and laughter. Jalen, come on, give them a big round of applause. Yes. Thank you, Jalen. You guys do such an awesome job at the radio station. So happy Friday, girlfriends. We're excited to be here. And you know what? I didn't get the memo. You know, sometimes the girlfriends don't give you the memo. They're having private conversations behind your back because you're listening on the radio, but those of you that are watching us live, you see Caterina have on this beautiful orange red blouse. And then I look down and Gloria has on her orange red jacket and shirt. And I'm sitting here in an army green top that don't have nothing to do with nothing. But that's okay. I'm not going to be.
But your hair jamming. Your hair is jamming. Okay. The hat's not on, but your hair is jamming, girl.
You know what?
Sabrina's on the radio. If she has red on.
She probably does. I had to do something with my hair.
I said if Sabrina got orange on.
She has on orange. Oh, Lord. If she does, yeah. I'm going to have a private conversation after the show. But you guys, you're learning us by now. They're the bossy, the messy, the sassy, the bougie. And you know, one of our girlfriends, she's going to be hanging out with us on the radio only. She been, talking a lot of stuff about me wearing a hat. And, I was having a bad hair day. And so I didn't want to hear her talk about me one more time. So I had to go and get something done to my hair. And so I'm sure. Oh, Lord, here she goes.
Oh, Lord, she's here. She's not on Facebook Live, but she's on the radio. And it is going to be a very interesting conversation on today. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and throw it to my girl.
You know those days that you check everything off your list, that you like check, and you just going down. It's like, it's a good day. So I'm excited today, and I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm wondering if my husband's going to decide he's going to cook something. I might have to go off my, give me one cheat day this weekend. I'm going to see if I can get some ribs. Can a sister get some ribs before it's over? So, okay. So Gloria, thanks for letting me know to wear orange. I appreciate it.
Go on and start some. Oh, it's your turn to be messy. It's Catrina's turn to be messy today. This show's going to be fire, y'all. This is going to be fire. You guys are going to lean in. I'm so happy here in Baltimore. The weather is absolutely perfect. I did not have one of those days, Catrina, where I checked everything off my list. All I did was make the list and hardly anything got checked off. Talk about this, that, and the other. But I'll tell you something. I was going into, I was doing something at the chiropractor's, whatever. But this woman saw me making a Facebook Live and she came up and she asked me what I do. And I said, I teach women about confidence. When I tell you she got so happy, you guys, we have to remember, I'm so glad you guys clued into the force of friendship. I'm so glad we're building such a phenomenal tribe because women still want to be loved, hugged, and lifted. And confidence is a big part of what they do. When she got so happy that someone would be so in tune with helping her with her confidence, I was like, wow. And then I was on Clubhouse and I heard this guy talking about confidence over here and confidence over there. I was like, wow. I mean, it's the word of the topic of the day. And you guys, I'm so excited that we're here with y'all today. And I'm excited, Chris, for this topic. And I'm excited that we tend to bring things up to this radio show that we, as a friendship, these are topics we didn't ever talk about. So I'm excited and I'm interested. I'm clued in, and I'll throw it back to you to give it to Sabrina.
Wait. Right before you throw it back, I just got to say this. When Gloria said she didn't get anything done, let me just say I had a long Zoom with Angie, and she had plenty of stuff you gave her to do. Okay, so she was like, that Gloria, she got me over here doing all kinds of stuff. So let me just say, your
girlfriends,
staff, okay. Yeah, you getting some stuff done might not be by you.
Yeah, and that's why she's the master delegator, okay? That's another whole topic for another day, for sure. All right, Sabrina Goodwin Monday, we're missing your beautiful face. And tell me, do you have on orange?
Orange, but it's certainly not khaki green. You know what? She's so messy. She is so messy. Oh, but Chris, you're always beautiful. Whatever color you wear, you guys, fix it up. I am missing you. I am missing you. You hear my voice. I am so excited about our guest today. Totally to hear his story. I think it's just amazing. Kenny and I are anniversary 28 years tomorrow. So we are to celebrate anniversary. We're going, yes. And so we are on our way to the historic Cavalier Autograph Hotel. It's a beach property in Virginia Beach. We've heard a lot about this property, and so we're just excited to sneak in some time before we get ready for this big move, and craziness sets in. And so you guys just take the time to do what you can when you can. I got word last night that one of my friends had a stroke last night. Oh, no. And so it's, yes. So, Kenny had asked me a few days ago if I wanted to do anything. I said, no, we've done enough. We need to just focus on this move. And then I was like, he's like, well, I thought you said you didn't want to do that. But I said, I changed my mind, okay? I changed my mind. And he should have expected it. He should have expected it, right? 28 years. Exactly. So glad to have a flexible husband, you guys. I miss you guys. Have a great holiday weekend. We're being as safe as we possibly can. We're going to social distance on that beach and just, do what we can. So, Chris, back to you. All right. Thanks, Sabrina. So glad that you're on the radio with us on today. Well, you guys,
so excited about our guest on today, our topic for today, locked up but not locked out. Now, you guys go with me. I believe that most of us have said these words. If I could turn back the hands of time, I would do this or I would do that differently. They say hindsight is 20/20. But if I personally could turn back the hands of time, one of the things that I've said several times on the show that I would do differently, I really would have gone to an HBCU. That is one of the things, if I could turn back the hands of time, knowing what I know now, I would absolutely have chosen to go to an HBCU. So, Caterina, if you could change one thing about your life, looking back, what is the one thing you could change? And then Gloria, I want you to answer, and then Sabrina.
Golly, change one thing. I really wish I had gone to an HBCU, but then when you said that, I said, but man, then what about my friends? You think about the things that would be different. Right. So honestly, if I could do one thing differently, I always say this, I would have not got all those credit cards when I was in college. That is unequivocally the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Credit cards.
That's deep. It's Chris, I'm gonna tell you something. I ask that question to myself all the time, seriously. And every time I come to that question, one thing says I would not have gotten married so young, at 21 years old, given my experience. But the other side of me says if I had not married the man I married the first time, that turned out to be a bad marriage, but an awesome contributor to the two beautiful children I have, I wouldn't have had that story, so there's some things I just don't know what that would be. I don't know what, I just think I'm living out God's vision for me in the good times and the bad times. So I've made some really good decisions and I've made some really bad decisions and I had to fix those decisions. So I really honestly don't know what I would have done differently. Maybe I might have put Clutch under a rock when he was acting crazy when he was 15 years old. If I could have put him under a rock and left him under that rock, like if he was in a big old petri dish and just said, you're going to stay right here until you turn 18, okay? I might have done that, but that's all I can think of right now. Sabrina, what would you do?
Gotten so much student loan debt, and there were opportunities out there that I just did not know about. I was just signing my life away, signing. I was getting refund checks back in college and having a good old time. So seriously, probably not that. Okay. So yeah, and you know what?
Decisions, and of course, consequences of poor choice is something that all of us are familiar with. Family dysfunction and hanging with the wrong crowd and being in the wrong place at the wrong time, I'm sure you would agree, is a recipe for disaster. Well, our guest on today experienced all of this and more. His story is a story that is all familiar in the Black community, from being convicted to life in prison without the possibility of parole to spending almost 29 years in prison. You guys, it really, our guest has a made-for television story. His story is riddled with pain, poor choices, death, and consequences. It is also a story of redemption and God's grace and mercy. So please help me give a warm welcome to We Got Issues to our guest, Elder Darryl Wood.
Welcome.
Hello, Darryl, and welcome to We Got Issues. So, Darryl, your story is such an incredible story. And what I know for sure is that your story is the story of so many Black men in prison, many whose crime didn't fit the amount of time they were given, and many who are sitting in prison who were wrongly imprisoned. And so, Darryl, again, we are so glad that you are taking this time to spend on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation with We Got Issues. Again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And so, Darryl, come on. I want you to share with our audience a little bit of your story.
Absolutely. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you guys today. And certainly special kudos to my First Lady, Crisette Ellis. Thank you guys for having us on. My life began, on December the 23rd, 1971. I'll be 50 years old this year. But I grew up with my grandmother because my mother was hooked on heroin at the time. She developed a heroin addiction because my biological father died while I was in her womb, and so she had a breakdown, and she had 3 other children, 3 other boys, and me, and just got sucked in by peer pressure and depression and stuff like that. And so my grandmother raised me all of my life, all of my young life. She raised me in the fear and the admonition of the Lord. I grew up in Greater Grace Temple as a young kid. Bishop David Ellis was my hero, and someone that I aspired to be like. You know, when I was just a little kid, I was mesmerized by him. And so one thing about it, though, my grandmother had 11 children of her own. And then she had, when she took me on and eventually took her entire family on, she took on 5 other children because my mother had a daughter even after I was born. And so she had 5 children plus the 11. And then, you know, just growing up, you know, just in that type of environment, she doing the best she could to raise us and to do everything she could do to provide for us. And so growing up, I got rebellious. It's one thing to be able to go to church. It's another thing when the church is not in you. And, you know, she didn't have time to teach me the Bible. She was trying to figure out how we was going to eat, you know, right. You know, and so just growing up, I rebelled because, you know, the jokes, your mama jokes was totally different for me than it was for my friends in the neighborhood, many of my friends in the neighborhood, you know, and then being able to wear the hand-me-down clothes and all that type of stuff, you know, being teased and stuff like that. And seeing the neighborhood drug dealers out there, you know, they driving Mercedes Benzes, they dressing nice and wearing fine jewelry and doing living that life. You know, I said, wow, you know, maybe I can go out there and, you know, do what they're doing to be able to take care of myself and be able to help my mom and be able to help my family. And I did that at the age of 12 years old. I ran away from home. I ran away from my grandmother's home. I went to the cash quarters to go find my mother originally. And when I got down to the cash quarters is one of the most, it's like in Baltimore, right. That hot spot in Baltimore, you know, and those hot spots in these urban pockets, it's that 10 times over, you know. And so I get down there, I find my mom. She tried to get me home. I wouldn't go home. I told her I'm not going home. I just want to be with you, Mom. You know, and so she enrolled me in school there, but I was introduced with a drug gang called the Pony Crew, in which AKA Pony Down. And they use young children at that time to do their work and do their bidding throughout the city and other parts of the country because, you know, it was a way for them not to go to jail and do serious time. And so once I connected myself up with that drug organization, I grew in the ranks and start living a life as a drug dealer.
Wow. Wow. So you're living with your grandmother. That's a lot.
Unfold that understanding the way that you did. And my father was in charge of the methadone clinics when they first came out in Detroit. So I had a whole backstory of that situation, but you did an awesome job. I just have to say that was amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. Darryl, we have so many questions we want to ask. Your story is pivoting. I know that's just the beginning, but we're up on our break. You're listening to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. We got issues. We want you to stay with us as we take this break. We're talking to Elder Darryl Wood about being locked up but not being locked out. We'll continue the conversation right after this break.
You guys, Facebook, for real. Can you guys hear what he is saying? Can you even hear what he is putting down? I truly hope that you guys will pick up the phone, find the courage, either ask a question, make a comment, or say an encouraging word to him. Because at 313-778-7600, you can deposit into him or someone that's listening a perspective that we need to bring up. I mean, talk about Happy Friday, but can you even, out of all that he just unpacked, find so many areas of your life where you can be grateful? I mean, so many areas. Can you imagine being the grandmother, having raised 11 children, and then one child has 5 children, 4 boys and a daughter, and she raises all of them too? I mean, the fortitude and the capacity. You know, I talk to women all the time and I'm like, the capacity that we have is so much grander than we know, so much bigger than we acknowledge for ourselves on a regular basis. And so when you're looking to find your discipline or looking to find your way or looking to have a pity party, you can start thinking about stories like Elder Darryl and what he's had to go through. And then just the story about the gangs taking on little children to do their dirty work so that they don't get caught. And then these children grow up and we take a position of judging when we need to take a position of understanding. And for him to be so steeped in the Lord and the Bible, given his journey, I'm totally impressed. I cannot wait for us to go back and hear the rest of his story. So I truly do hope that you guys will call in and lean, because it makes the show better. And everybody thinks to themselves, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything. I'm telling you, when we say hello, when we pick up the phone, you're going to find something to say. So this is the time to lean in. And I hope that you're calling somebody who might need to hear this story, because I'm telling you, I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I'm like, this is just so amazing to hear this story, you know.
All right, we're coming back. We're coming back hot. Welcome back to We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. Prior to the break, of course, our guest today is Elder Darryl Wood, and our subject on today, we're talking about locked up but not locked out. What a pivoting story he has to tell. And so we're going to say, call your family, your friends, anybody that you know that have been in a situation where they thought their life was completely over because of circumstances, situations, or bad choices that they made. We want you to call them and tell them to tune in to 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. This is a story they absolutely need to hear. And many of you may know somebody that's locked up and you have a story to tell. We would love for you to share it right here at 9:10 a.m. So give us a call at 313-778-7600. Before we go back to you, Darryl, we have a guest. We have a caller. A caller is our caller on the line. I believe, Ronnie, are you there?
Hello. Yes, I'm here.
Hey, Ronnie, how are you? Thank you for calling. We Got Issues.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I understand my good friend Darryl Wood is there.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to call and support the brother, because the brother supported me, man, for so long, and I appreciate what he's done to me. First of all, I'm gonna tell you a little bit something about myself. I'm what some people call a juvenile lifer. I mean, I was in prison as a juvenile, and I stayed in prison over 40 years. So I just got out last year, and thank God, and it's a beautiful thing. But while in prison, I wasn't always doing the right thing. I wasn't always focused on trying to come home until I ran into Darryl Wood down at Ryan Road Prison. And Darryl, like, he came to me, man. He said, "Hey, man, you want to go home, man? You got to bring them in for us to go home." What he meant by that, he had to bring people in. He brought everybody in, by the way. He could bring in politicians, bring in community leaders, bring in religious leaders. And we had to bring these people in so they could see that we wasn't the people that everyone said we were. We wasn't the animals. We wasn't the killers. We wasn't here killing and raping and robbing people. We were in there trying to reform ourselves and trying to show people that a different side of us. And Darryl, I got to give it up to Darryl because he brought me out of that nonsense I was in prison. Showed me a way, man, where I could show people who I was in order for me to get a second chance. So I love the brother, and what he's doing out here, he's been doing in prison for all his debt, helping people, trying to put people on the right track, trying to connect people with different people who were influenced, had the influence to perhaps get them out of prison or get that sentence cut. And he was always doing it with a religious lens. You know, I'm not really a religious person, you know, but my respect for Darryl Wood and how he lived his life and how he does food in prison. When I was around here, I can cuss like any sailor in America, but around Darryl Wood, I wouldn't even cuss because that's how much respect I had for him. Because he always gave that respect, and the prisoners, we always return that respect. And he helped me in so many ways. I can just talk forever. When I was going through juvenile, we had to go through what some people call a Miller hearing, where they take a look at us and see if we have changed our life or if we have any redeeming qualities. Darryl Wood lined up a star list, a list of people to come to my hearing and vouch for me. I tried everything to get these people to come on my own, and they wouldn't come. But when Darryl asked them to come and vouch for me, they were lined up. I'm not going to call these people out because, you know, they respected in the community, but they know who they are. They wasn't coming with my phone call. But when Darryl made that phone call, they all and vouched for my character. So I owe a lot to that man, a lot. My freedom, and I live my life, and I owe all that. I owe to Darryl Wood. And
Ronnie, you are laying it down. You are laying it down, and we so appreciate you calling in and sharing with us your experience. Thank you so much for calling in and letting the world know, you know, who Darryl is, how helpful he was to you while you guys were.
Cut you off, because let me get it in. It didn't stop in prison. When I came home, I said, man, I need a job, man. Darryl pulled some strings, but I got a good job now. And it's all because of Darryl Wood. And I know it sounds incredible, but I'm telling you the honest to God truth. You know, he has the connections and talked to some people, and I have a wonderful job now where I'm able to support myself, provide for my family, and take trips to Chicago when I want to go now. So, hey, young man.
That is so awesome,
God bless
Ronnie.
you, man.
Calling. Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling in to We Got Issues. We truly appreciate it, and we pray that God continues to bless you in all your endeavors. Have a good one. Thank you. Darryl, the phone lines are lit up. Everybody wants to have a question or they want to talk about Darryl Wood and what he has done and what he is doing. We have another caller, and then Darryl, after that caller, I want you to talk about the night that your life changed forever. We're going to take this caller, then come right back to you. I believe we have Bernetta. Are you there, Bernetta?
Hi, I'm right here.
Hi, Bernetta. Thank you for calling. We got issues. How you doing today? Oh, good. This topic is close to home because I had a number of family members who got caught up in the justice system because, and really it was by their choices, but also, like Ronnie discussed before, they were very young, at a young age, thinking that was the way to go. And as I grew up, I did everything I could to avoid it. But as an elementary school teacher, I taught my entire career in urban schools. And we had, just in my city alone, there were, at the time I was teaching, there were 4 different gangs.
Wow.
And I read the Riot Act so badly to my class once because the DARE officers talking about the DARE program and the drug resistance and GRACE, which is gang resistance. And they're gonna, laugh and snicker, as kids do, and oh, they don't know nothing, and And we got them back up to the classroom, and I was perfectly quiet. And then I went off on them and dropped the bombs, letting them of transparency, letting them see my background, because the fact is, I have family members who were and are still known as gang members in the town. In fact, founders of the very first gang in the city back in 1975, when the Crips first came out here from California. And when they heard that, then they shut their mouths and quit playing about it. But I had to read the Riot Act a couple of years later to another one of my 3rd graders. One of my 4th graders, because I got word, listening to him talk, listening to his talk, and I could see in his behavior that one of the local gangs, and it was the gang that was largely Hispanic. I won't name them, but they were trying to recruit him. And it was known that all the gangs at the time were trying to recruit the kids at 3rd and 4th grade age. So Bernetta, I had to let him know what was going and why they were going after him. Are you still preaching? Are you still? No, I retired. You retired? Okay. I'm 2 years retired. Okay. And this was, I read him the Riot Act. These people are not your friends. They're using you because, quite honestly, what they asking you to do, you get caught and you go down. They like, oh, I don't know. Absolutely.
Hey, Vernetta, this is Gloria calling. Vernetta, can you hear me? Vernetta, can you hear me for 1 second? It's Gloria calling, and I'm loving your point, which is saying you're staying strong. And we really wanted to hear that because not enough people really know how to stand really strong. We've got a lot of callers to get to, so I want to thank you so much for calling in, so much for giving your passion the way that you did it. We're going to move to another caller if you don't mind, but I thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. We got issues. We truly appreciate it. And you know what? It absolutely takes a village to raise children.
Right.
and all that she did as a school teacher to keep her children away from gangs. And as you were saying, Darryl, when you were only 12 years old, you got involved, in a gang. So they don't wait till you're, teenagers. They start really, really young. We do have a couple of other callers, but before we go there, can you just, Darryl, take us to the night that your life changed forever?
Oh, absolutely. January 25th, 1990, I was at a home, me and my cousin, who was my co-defendant, we went to a home to purchase some marijuana for my cousin. I was on my way to go pick up my daughter and her mom because they were in distress. At that time, I had a 6-month-old daughter and a 1-year-old son at that time. I was 18 years old. Had my son when I was 16, had my daughter when I was 17. Now I'm 18 years old inside this home. It was two things going on at the time. We was purchasing marijuana, but there was another drug deal a larger drug deal going on in the home simultaneously. And an argument ensued with the person who was buying some cocaine from another gentleman. And in the midst of that argument, guns were pulled out. And when the guns were pulled out, gentleman ran to his back bedroom to what everyone believed to retrieve a weapon. And in the back room was another argument took place and some shooting. And after that, everyone fled the home. It was about 7 people in that house at that time. And it was very, very chaotic. I eventually, it was bars on the windows. My co-defendant ended up busting out a window that didn't have bars. Everyone was busting out windows trying to find a window to get out, but we couldn't get out. We was like trapped in the house. A deadbolt was on the door. Wow. And so it was very, very chaotic. So we eventually get out the home, fled the home.
Darryl, we lost you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, and because we didn't originally, we weren't in cooperation with the law enforcement officials, and didn't want to make any statements and things of that nature. They wanted us to come down for questioning and stuff like that. We never went down for questioning because we didn't want no involvement in any of it. And they eventually put a warrant out for our arrest and came to get me out of the state of Florida because it was just a terrible situation, and extradited me back here to Michigan and charged me as an aiding and abettor in the homicide of the deceased, as well as my co-defendant. We were the only 2 people that they were able to apprehend at that time.
Wow.
Even the person who pulled the trigger never was apprehended or identified. And so we was then, sent through the legal process.
So Darryl, what you're saying is you just happened to be in this home just to purchase some marijuana. Another fight ensued. Someone gets killed. You didn't have a gun. You didn't kill them. You just happened to be at this particular place. They can't find anybody but you and your friend. You're extradited back to Michigan. And tell us what you're charged with, and tell us the verdict that was handed down.
My co-defendant and I was charged with aiding and abetting a homicide, aiding and abetting an unknown person, because they knew that we did not pull the trigger at the time. And at that time, they arrest as many as they could to try to get people to snitch on each other and get people to talk, and because we didn't do that, we went through that process, and we was eventually convicted of aiding and abetting and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
Wow. So
without the possibility of parole.
Without the possibility of parole. So, okay. So tell us what that looks like. You're sitting in court.
Oh, absolutely. The jury came back with the verdict, And the jury came back with a guilty verdict, and I cussed them all out. I cussed the jury out. I cussed the judge out. I cussed the prosecutor out, and I just acting a fool. I was like, I didn't do it. I went out screaming and kicking. You know, why would you send me to prison for something I didn't do? And I, you know, and you know, I didn't pull the trigger. You know, and the way this thing was set up, there's no way in the world that we even have knowledge of something like this would jump off. It was like a humbug situation. And so in the midst of me cussing them all out, my grandmother stood up and shouted out something, and she stilled the courtroom. You know, I was like, she stilled me, calmed me down. I sat down. The judge was calm. He got me up out of there. I went back. When I was sent to prison. The first thing I wanted to do is fight, you know, and not physically fight, but, you know, fight for my life. You know, I was at rock bottom. How in the world did I get myself in this situation? Allow myself to get in this situation. So I ordered my trial transcripts, get my trial transcripts from my lawyer. And I read my trial transcripts and got to the very end. It was over 600 something pages, almost 700 pages of transcripts. I read the transcripts, and my grandmother said, and when she stood up in that courtroom, these are the words that she said. Don't give up, son. Prayer changes things. God is the only judge. And that shook my spirit. I felt the anointing jump up off those pages as if I was hearing the voice of God. And so for the next 27 years, I believed those words, no matter how I looked, no matter what I went through. I eventually, my mom ended up getting off of drugs while I was in there. And she was a strong presence in my life throughout my 4 years of my incarceration. But she ended up dying while I was in there because she had contracted HIV and ultimately AIDS because of the drug use. Then after that, my grandmother died. One of my grandmothers died. Then I lost my other grandmother. But those words still resounded in my spirit. I got saved and delivered in prison. God delivered me and set me free in prison early on in my incarceration. And I got filled with the Holy Ghost, the Spirit of the living God. If you don't know what that is, it is the power of God. I got delivered in there by listening to an audio tape of my hero, Bishop David Ellis. And I can probably preach the sermon off the top of my head because I listened to it so many times. But that changed my life, and I had a choice to make. And y'all talked about choices earlier. Either you're going to choose to stay on this side or you're going to choose something different. And we know what insanity is, you know. So I chose to do something different, and I had to come from among them. I had to separate myself. I was an 8th grade dropout. And so first thing I got the Bible, I got the GED books, and then I got the law books, and I studied them all at the same time. And that's how I learned. I learned how to read by reading the Bible and reading law books, you know.
And thank you for calling. I want to thank you for educating people about this. But listen, Darryl, don't get hung up on what you did. You got thousands and thousands more Darryls out there just like you. And so we have to those consequences. Tell them how they can prevent them in the situation. I'm glad that you was coming up to pull through. And you got to give flowers to your mother every day, Darryl, because she really got you through. But it's just the idea that you got 1,000 Darryls out there, and they're going through the same situation. And I want you to tell the other Darryls out there how they can overcome it and don't be such a man that I like buying jewelry, I like car, I like buying shoes, I like buying clothes. That's how that boy, like women talking to boy. You got to be a man. You got to tell the folks how to be a man and so forth. That's what you think, you know. And so I understand where you're coming from there, but I want the people to, the other guys like you to hear how you can overcome it with your brother and all that, and your other colleagues and so forth. Tell them how they can overcome it. And then a job is a job, a job is a job. Regardless of what kind of job you get paid for it, working for 7 days or 7 hours a week, you get paid for it. So don't put a chance on a job and so forth. So you think about what you can do to help other guys, other girls. You got a lot of more girls out there, don't you? This is a peace country now, Sarah. And African America is falling under the umbrella. So thank you, Sarah, and thank you, ladies, for educating people. So have a good week.
God bless you, my friend.
God bless you, my friend.
Yes, and thank you, John, for calling. We got issues. And so, Darryl, we do have several other callers, but I know one of the things that you have been so masterful with while you were in prison, as well as now that you're out, is there's so many individuals that talk about you, what you did while you were in prison, the different programs, so many individuals that you were able to help. And they were able to, some of them get exonerated, some of them get out early, and yet and still, you were still there. So can you just talk to us a little bit about some of the programs, some of the things that you did while you were in prison? Our time is going by so quick. We do have a couple of other callers, but if you could quickly kind of tell us some of the things that you did while you were there, and maybe even some of the things that you're doing now. And then we're going to go to our callers. So callers, if you can just hold on, we'll come right back to you. Darryl?
I'll make it quick. I was, when I got my GED, I became a part of the church first and foremost, because that I needed a foundation. So Jesus Christ was my foundation, you know, and the church was my foundation. So then I became a part of the Detroit branch NAACP. And so we was a committee under the Detroit branch. And I rose in the rank and became the leader of that organization. And we worked directly with Reverend Wendell Anthony, and we taught to be the largest and boldest branch in the country. But our work was real. We put together legal seminars. We brought in judges. We brought in legislators. I brought in the last 4 or 5 mayors of the city of Detroit. Brought in educational programs. We brought in the governor. We brought in a number of people to be able to speak to the people issues and situations, to make sure that we had educational classes and they're flowing from the NAACP, not the Michigan Department of Corrections, because the bishop always say, God won't do for us what we won't do for ourselves, you know. And so one of the things I put together was a revival, and that revival is when her pastor, my pastor, her husband came in there and prophesied to me and told everybody in the gym that I was coming out of there. I'm talking about, he said he's coming out, and he came in with 50 members from the PAW, and they came in there and minister had gangbangers on their face crying like babies. And he called me in the middle of the gym with over almost 200 people in the gym and laid hands on me under the anointing of the Holy Ghost and said, he said, I know you love this man here, but he said, but he's coming out of here. And that's when God flipped the script, you know. And my bands was loose, and I was able to walk and leap and praise God as I walked out of prison. I walked out of prison February 12th, 2019. 2/12.
Darryl,
yes.
I want you to hold that, because that in and of itself is a miracle. We're going to go to Rhonda, and then we're going to come back to you. And I want you to lay out how you were released from prison. Rhonda,
Absolutely.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm here. I was invited to come on by Darryl. I was on Tuesday with Eunice, and I connected with Darryl through talking to teachers of his grandchildren. So when I first met Darryl at Greater Grace, I just knew him from a distance. And I just think that, this is just my opinion, y'all need a part two, because Darryl's testimony is so powerful. Yeah. What I like most about what Darryl is doing, what he did in prison, people say, when I get out, I'm going to do this. Darryl continued to do outreach. You look up, he's here, he's there, he's at different churches. He has not stopped since he got out of prison. On the wall for Christ, on the wall for people. I mean, it's just amazing because people make commitments and promises. God, you get me out of this, right? My connection with Darryl now is through his grandchildren. So his legacy, I'm talking to his son in California who just had a beautiful baby. Florida. So the legacy continues. Darryl's story is so powerful. You guys, this is just a pebble in the ocean of what he has to say. And I think many more people, if you guys can, and Darryl's willing to come back on, because he has so much to say. But I'm glad that I met him in a different arena, and I see the love that he has for children. When I tell you something to be done, Darryl Wood, please are rolled up. I have much more to say, but I'm going to stop on that because I want Darryl to continue and that other caller to come. I just wanted to just put a shout out to Darryl because I appreciate what you do, Darryl. Love you.
God bless you. Love you. Thank you.
Rhonda. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Rhonda, so much for calling in. We got issues. All right, Darryl, come.
The quick part of the story about how you, Sabrina, thank you. Get a mute out. Okay. Give us the abbreviated part of how you were able to get released from prison.
Yeah, they said I was going to die in there. They said I wasn't ever going to get out. I got my case overturned in 2003. Said I was convicted on false and perjured testimony. Prosecutor appealed, and they got my new trial overturned. I fought and filed commutations. I went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. There's so much story in that. And they ended up denying me. They said I would, the Democratic governor said 3 times she denied me commutation and said I couldn't get out. And everybody had connections with the Democratic governor. Of course, you know, we could find some favor with her. No way, no how. God said, I'm going to do it my way. And so the governor that everybody hated, the world hated, Governor Rick Synder, they said he poisons Flint and they called him a killer. And they wanted him out of office, but God said he ain't going nowhere because he have a divine assignment. And that man commuted my sentence and on the last day of the legislative year. On the last day of the legislative year. But before we got there, I went to a hearing. I was the only one in my prison that was able to have this particular hearing starting off. Everybody got denied. Thousands filed. And they was getting denied and denied and denied. But the favor of the Lord was upon us because the bishop had prophesied and a number of other ministers, Pastor Kenneth Flowers, Bishop Edgar Van, and a number of other pastors was this intervening on my behalf. And they spoke to the heart of the king, and to the point the king started saying my name, and they didn't have to say my name to him anymore. You know, and so on that day, my sentence was commuted. You know,
Hey, Darryl, how many people could be commuted? How many people could he commute, and what number were you?
He could commute 1,000 people if he wanted. He only chose to commute 26 people, but only 6 people who had life without the possibility of parole out of the 8 years that he was in office. And wow, I was in that number. And so it was like what they call a snowball chance, and you know, to be able to get up out of here, you know. And so again, it was so much involved with that. And it's a lot of layers in between that. But when I give you this, on February the 12th, 2019, I walked out of prison doors, and I had the video footage. Next time when we do a part 2, I'll give you a little of that video footage of when I walked out of prison. I walked out in my son's arm, the 1-year-old son that I left. I had him come retrieve me out of the prison, and he wept in my arm as if he was 1 year old. And we walked up out of there. We walked out there in the strength of the Lord. And my son just had his first child 4 days ago. Alexander, shout out to my grandson.
Right. Awesome.
But it was just so amazing. But 212, I got out. The first 3 digits of the prison number that they gave me was 212. Wow. President Lincoln's birthday, 212. So you talking about an emancipation. You talking about a deliverance. Right. You know, you talking about a breakthrough. That 212 was, I would never forget it, how God shook the foundations and got me up out of there. Since I've been out, I'm now the founder and CEO of Fighting a Good Fight. I'm contracted with Life Remodel. I'm contracted with Mitch Album Organizations, Say Detroit. I work with GrowthWorks. We just took 20 children from the juvenile system to the Lions game on Friday. So you talking about mentor, Brother John, you don't want to know my pedigree from that. You know, that's my heart. That's my strong desire, is to save lives and to be able to minister to people. You heard Ronnie's story. Ronnie was locked up for 40 years. Y'all might have heard. I want y'all to hear. 40 years. He said he was never going to get out of there. He couldn't get the help that he needed. But the Lord said, go minister for that brother. Go help that brother. And now that brother's out. And I helped renew his vows with his wife since he's been out. And he only been out 7 months. And he making probably about like $60,000 a year. Well, excuse me. I'm sorry to put his business out there. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord blessed him tremendously and is blessing him tremendously. Him and his wife, they live in Bloomfield. They are blessed. And he don't even look like where he came from. He look younger than I do. You know, so the Lord is doing so much thing.
Darryl, you know what? I mean, this is so good. And I know so much of your story. I just wish we had more time to share, but I do want you to share something kind of funny. You know, sometimes when people get out of prison, they're happy to be out, of course, but tell them where your son took you as when you guys got out of prison, that just kind of threw you for a loop.
This joker took me to a super Walmart. He didn't take me to Walmart. and I began to tremble, you know, because I'm like, I was locked up 28 years, 11 months. Somebody said they was married for 28 years, but I was in prison for 28 years and 11 months, 29 years. And so he take me to a super Walmart. How in the world can I make a choice out of in there? And the only thing I had to choose from was the prison commissary, in which one aisle in a super Walmart more than enough than the prison commissary. And so and I was just trembling I was like, man, hold my hand, man. Get me out of here. You know?
Too much at the super Walmart. You guys, we gotta go. Our time is up. Darryl Woods, we gotta have you back for part 2. This has been so powerful. You guys have been listening to We Got Issues on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation. Have a wonderful Labor Day weekend, and we will be back on Tuesday. God bless. Have a great Labor Day. Bye-bye, everybody.